Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Tangents and Shenanigans. I'm here with Nick again.
What
What's up,
up?
dude?
Hey, how's it
Yeah,
going, buddy? We are live again.
we are live in the flesh,
Hell
in
yeah.
the in the form of Hunter Warriors. Dun dun
Hell
dun dun
yeah.
dun dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
First of all, we just got done watching this movie the other day, and I gotta say, watching it again reminds me of how much I love this movie. I thought they did such a great job. And it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, and some of his early works, dude, he's the same director that did Spy Kids
Oh, did he
and
really?
From Dusk Till Dawn. And I think I've told you about that movie. Um,
Oh, yeah.
for the longest time, I thought Quentin Tarantino directed it, but he starred in it. Writer. Yeah, written by Quentin Tarantino. Yep. Eventually, I do kind of want to show you that movie. Back to the movie at hand. Alita Battle Angel came out in 2019, starring Rosa Salazar as Alita, Christoph Waltz as Dr. Dyson Ito, who kind of plays the surrogate father type to Alita. What was great about this movie, especially for that director, is this was the highest grossing film that he had directed, because the budget was like 170 million, and box office ended up making like 405 million. So they did pretty good, dude.
Yeah. No, they did great.
And originally this was taken from the manga series Battle Angel Alita, and I just thought it was funny because like just swap the names around and you have a
Mm-hmm.
movie.
Yeah. And then they did the anime too, based off it as well. So,
Yeah, and from what I was looking up, they actually did a pretty good job at taking the original concept and using that as like the foundation for the film and then expanding upon it.
yep.
Knowing now that there is a sequel in development, um, so we're kind of waiting for
I
that
know.
patiently.
I hope it's not too long because it's like the longer it gets pushed out, it's just like you want to have it come to fruition, you know?
That's Although that may be true, this project was announced actually in 2003, and one of the producers, being James Cameron, the great and almighty James Cameron, was working on Avatar at the time, and the sequential sequels to that.
Oh yeah.
So he was kind of tied up, and then finally they started filming late 2016. I think it was around October, and most of the film, I believe, was filmed in Austin, Texas, and then the rest of it was just like set design. And then obviously there's green screen shots in this movie, especially the one with the ship. Remember when they see the
Yeah.
ship and they're hiking up to it?
Mhm.
It's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's totally
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Yeah.
The director Robert, he was waiting for James Cameron to like finish wrapping up like his project so that he can help produce this film. And then finally got the ball rolling, and then 3 years later it gets released.
Yeah.
So not even not even because if they filmed in October, yeah, it was like 2 years,
Yeah, 2 years and a little bit.
2 years give or
Yeah.
take, just slightly over 2 years for this film, and then it released like January, and then like it premiered January 2019, and then wide US release happened a month later, and that's when we most likely saw it. Didn't you see this like shortly after it hit
Yeah,
theaters?
I saw it the very first week. I think I saw it the Tuesday after the week it released, you know, because I always,
Yeah.
cheap movie
Cheap movie? Yeah, cheap movie
Yeah!
Tuesday.
Hey, because the cool thing is on Tuesdays you get like a $5 beer, dude. So it's like I can get a 16 ounce for $5. So it's like perfect, dude.
Long story short, we saw it shortly after it hit theaters. And it was one of those movies where we were just
You
like,
had
I
to see
remember
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we were geeking out about it. Let's dive right into this. So, the movie is set in 2563, near the 26th century, and it's 300 years after the war between Earth and United Public of Mars, right?
Yeah.
The let's see. We don't really know what happened during the war, apart from Earth was kind of left
We only get
destroyed.
we only got certain snippets because we only get little flashbacks of what possibly went on. And throughout the movie, there's little breadcrumbs sprinkled out of the aftermath of that
Mhm.
said war, pretty much.
Right. The movie starts out with Dr. Ito, played by Christoph Waltz. Phenomenal actor, by the way.
Oh
I
yeah.
love him in so many movies, especially in Glorious Bastards and his work in Django Unchained. Love those two
Yeah.
characters, dude. Oh man. Uh, anyways, uh, let's see. I need to really work on not saying You know that?
Oh really?
I
You
really
know what's
do.
funny? It's taken me so you know what's funny? That's why I took those communication courses, because you probably have noticed, like, when we speak together, I barely say it at all, and I'm
You
mostly quiet while you're
That's true.
speaking. It's all that learning shit that I did.
Learning skills.
Learning! Hey, kids, see, this is why you go to school.
That's what I get for not putting all of my attributes on speech and charisma.
Uh, God.
Well,
That's why you can't barter with the merchant. Sir, I want 2 ducks for 5 gold. It's 10 gold. I say 4 gold. It's 10. 11.
remember in Fallout? I remember in Fallout 3 playing it for the first time, I would put like I remember like saving different versions of the start, like once you leave the vault, I would like save right before then so I can attribute like all my skills.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think I did the same. Yeah.
oh man. Anyways, getting back on track. So, um, Dr. Ito is like scavenging this scrapyard, and he comes in contact with a disembodied like cyborg and sees like
That's the
the face,
head.
and it
Yeah.
actually has an intact human brain. And he's like, "Oh shit, this is valuable. Like I can use something with this." So he takes it back to his shop, and he lives with what's her name?
I'm gonna just call
Nurse.
her the nurse, dude, because
Yeah,
I will say this before we even start. Me and you have had the best conversation about this character throughout the whole movie. She is there the entire movie, and what? Two
has
lines.
she has like
Three, maybe.
she has 3 lines. She has 3 lines. She's so underutilized. I'm like, what's the point of even having this person in the movie if they're not even gonna say anything? And you and I were thinking, like, is she an android? Like, is she a cyborg as well?
Well, she
But no,
had
she's
the robotic arm to help out Dr. Ito with the process, if you remember that. Like, her one left arm is the tools, so
mhm. And
maybe.
then that's when you kind of figure out what Dr. Ito does for people
Yeah.
in that city. I think it's well, it's Iron City is where it is. And I think geographically it's supposed to be Panama City, um, because that's where that location of the world is where that the giant like structure
Known as the Sky City, and there was a bunch, remember, before most of them fell during the war. They're just known
it's
as Sky Cities, pretty much.
Sky
But
City
yeah.
Salem. Sky City
Yeah.
Salem is what it
Hmm.
was. So they were saying like this, the only place in the world where it's next to the equator that would make sense for this orb to be like suspended from would
Hmm.
be Panama City. So I thought that was kind of interesting that
Yeah.
they really thought about that as far as like location wise. Um, but going back to Dr. Ito's intentions, he actually helps people around, like people that are amputees, and tries to give them a second chance in life by
Oh, yeah.
like salvaging these parts from the scrapyard and then trying to like repurpose them for people that are in need. So, you know, he's kind of a do-gooder. And
Yeah.
from what we see is, you know, he's kind of struggling to keep that shop open because not many people can afford these repairs.
Yeah.
So what do? They pay him, this one guy, his first customer pays him in oranges.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's you know what? It's the barter system, and you know what's funny? Like, it just kind of shows you the politics of the movie where you have like, and we've seen it even in video games too, where you have like the slums, like that's the low barrel of the community, and then you have Sky City, which is considered the higher end esque echelon, pretty much.
And that's where certain people down below are trying to get to, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And some of the only ways to get there is actually by competing in motorball, which is like a different version of rollerball. Um,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but this one involves, more contact, and obviously there are
Oh yeah.
cyborgs playing, so they have some weapons here and there
Yeah.
to use at their disposal.
Yeah, so
Have
like
when,
you said, as he brings her to the his place, he does like a, I guess you'd call like a pre scan, and he notices that her chip is still intact, but the memory is completely wiped. So it's like
Mhm.
the brain activity is there, but he kind of mentions she won't know anything pretty much because her whole data was wiped apparently, and he's like, I don't know how it happened, but he's like, we'll have to go from there whenever she wakes up or whatever he kind of mentions.
But what he does know is that she has a berserker heart,
Yes.
which
Mm-hmm.
predates like several hundred years. So he knows like
Yeah.
she was important at some point and then was
Pre-war
cast.
era. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, pre-war era, and she was cast out for some reason, and he ends up giving her the name of his deceased daughter, Alita,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually his late daughter's cyborg bodysuit that he ends up attaching to her core, and so now she has a fresh start. But again, she has like slight amnesia; she can't remember anything,
Yeah.
and so without knowing where she came from, she finally like comes to in bed, and she's like looking at herself, she's like, oh, like, almost
And I
like
will
that
say the CGI on that first scene with Alita with the cyborg body and how you see like just the bodysuit, like the fingers in her face, it was like fucking dope. Like I thought that
Mhm.
was actually kind of sick. Like it didn't look cheesy CGI that we get sometimes. Like you know what I mean? Like it looks super, like how certain things look too real, but it looks fake. This was just enough where it's like, okay, this actually looks pretty fucking cool.
Yes, and not only that, to add on to what you're saying is CGI nowadays is not really that it's not really that convincing. Like whatever filters they're
Yeah.
using or whatever sort of I don't I don't know. Just I feel like CGI is kind of going downhill now, um, based on movies that we've seen like this one. Even though this was less than 6 years ago, um, I think that they did a better job at some of the movies that are coming out now.
Yeah. I
It's just
agree.
as far as
Yeah.
CGI, and not only that, like, can you think of CGI from, like, the Transformers film? Like, specifically, like, some of it looked cheesy, but a lot of it, knowing that they're especially during the transforming, parts, like, you see all the little, like, components of the
Parts. Oh,
vehicle
yeah. Mhm.
and the cogs and then, like, the hydraulic pumps within the joints, like, all of it was super detailed,
Yeah, and they made
and
sure too, like, and I don't know if you knew this too, like, when it came to the Transformers and the transforming, they made sure no matter what part was moved, it would make sense. So, like, there
Mhm.
you wouldn't see, like, a fucking thing hanging there, like, "How the fuck did that, gasket or whatever end up there?" All that stuff made sense, and it seems like now, and I've seen some of the newer Transformers, you still get the transforming stuff, but it almost looks like a Rubik's Cube now, where you're like, okay, you got like a couple square blocks here and there. You have like maybe a little bits of pieces of the car and whatnot, but you're not getting that full fleshed thing that we got back in like 2007. you know?
Right. Yeah, and that's what's crazy is that was 07 when the first one came out.
Yeah, 2007. Yeah.
And then I remember the second movie. I know we're going off on a tangent here, but I just have to say
Hey,
it. Like,
it's part of the episode, buddy. So people
inter-
out there, get used to it.
intermission two, that one scene with the small transformer that's in that. Is it on the plane in the second movie when
Yeah.
it's trying to? It's
Yeah.
trying to jack into the. It's not a plane; it's a server room, right?
Yeah.
It's a server room that the one little like microbot transformer.
Yeah, but he's
It turns
on
like paper thin.
Air Force One though, like the president's
Oh,
thing,
that's
remember,
right.
in the service room, because he's with the president because they're up in the air trying to get intel of what's going on, and he snuck onto the plane and he's in the little server room because Air Force One, I think it does have its own server room.
Anyways, where were we at? So, fuck it. Okay. She goes downstairs and is then greeted by Dr. Ito and Nurse Garad.
I just call her Nurse.
Okay, Nurse G. Call her Nurse G.
Yeah.
So she goes downstairs, and then they kind of do a little wellness check with her. They say like,
Yeah.
how are you feeling? Do you remember anything? Right away, Dr. Ito seems very protective, almost like he's withholding information from her and not giving her the whole truth, knowing that
Right.
she's
Yeah.
searching for answers. And I kind of thought, and I even told you this when we were watching it, that I thought it was kind of I didn't agree with reasons for withholding that information because it almost felt like he was being selfish. Like he wanted a second chance at having a daughter.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like what would you say to that?
Well, I kind of agree with you on the selfish. Oh my god, I'm having a stroke. Like how he wants to have a daughter, but at the same time, I did kind of agree with the fact that he understands what she holds inside her, and I think he had a little bit of an inkling of what she could have been, and I think he just didn't want her to seek out whatever she was supposed to do, if that
Right.
makes sense. Like if all of a sudden she had that aha moment of, hey, I remember what my purpose is, he just didn't want her to just go seek out whatever that was, if that makes sense. Because he knows, he kind of has an idea of how the world works, and he realizes if she understands what her purpose is, she's going to be in great danger, pretty much.
Yeah, so it's like I understand his reasons, but again, it's like that's not your call. But I think it's because he gave Alita his daughter's like cyborg suit, so it's like somehow he feels ownership over her and feels like he needs to protect her from what he knows that she could be potentially destined for. That's kind of how I read into it. They give her an orange to kind of see. They kind of give her like a test to see like, okay, how are the taste receptors working? So she bites into the orange without peeling it, and she's like, oh god, she's like, it's bitter.
Bitter, yeah.
And then they're over here like on a clipboard. It's like, taste receptors on point.
Yeah. And then he's
And
like,
then,
fine, here, let me peel it. Here, this is what it's supposed to taste like. And she's like, oh, this tastes good.
yeah. She's like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever had. And it's like, well, technically that's the first thing you've ever tasted.
Oh yeah. Then she even mentioned, she's like, yeah, I just want to eat oranges forever. And I'm like, yeah, you can't just live off eating oranges, but for her, she probably could.
No, you'll end up getting scurvy like the pirates did back in the day from eating too much vitamin C. So, shortly after this, they, Dr. Ito and Alita try going into the city. She's like amazed at the world, and you and us viewers, we see like the buildings and structures are no longer what they
Yeah.
are like compared to today. They're like all in like shambles, almost like how it was in Ready Player One,
Right.
how most
Mhm.
of the population lived in, in desolate, like poor conditions.
Yeah.
Um,
They were
and
was it like they were had like those trailers stacked on top of each other.
right, right. And in this form, there are buildings and structures, but they kind of like lost
They're
their shape.
dilapidated. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
dilapidated. Yeah.
like there's not a lot of glass windows.
Yeah.
So people are kind of just like living out in the open air and breathing in all that dust and shit.
Yeah. Sharon noticed Alita walk out, and that's when she kind of notices her hand, I think, because she kind of notices that was her. Well, we don't know it yet, but that was her daughter's body, pretty much.
Right.
And then that's when we got the backstory. Oh, that'll be a little later, of course.
Yeah,
But
it's a little
yeah,
later. And Dr. Sheeran is played by Jennifer Connelly, great actor.
yeah, she did a
And
fantastic job with this character too.
and we notice that on her forehead there's a little shape on her forehead, and it's a diamond, right?
Yeah,
We don't quite know what that is. At first it just seems something cosmetic, but later we find out that it's actually like a monitor linked to Nova, who is like the supreme like being and ruler
well, I
of
call him like the creator of things. Yeah,
yeah, and he resides in the Sky City Salem. Um, but he has like his puppets down below that do all of his dirty work. So yeah, she kind of like investigates the hand, and she's like, and Alita's like, "What's your problem?" And then she like walks away, and then that's when we see Hugo, played by Kian Johnson. I thought he was actually, I thought he actually had a pretty good part in this
yeah,
movie. Obviously he's like the first teenage boy that she actually she looks at, and she's like, oh well, who's this interesting handsome young man?
yeah,
And
yeah.
Dr.
Her
and
horny
he was
radars went off.
yeah, yeah, and he hands Dr. Ito like a bag of, I'm
Yeah,
guessing, parts, right?
yeah, parts. Yeah. Hmm.
But we don't quite, do we know
We
that
find
at
out
first?
later why he gets parts. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little later on, but we find out why and how he gets these parts. Yeah,
hmm And you can tell like when Dr. Ito like sees the interaction between them two, he's like, yeah, you're gonna stay away from him.
yeah.
He's
It's that dad coming in being like, "Hey, now you stay away from my daughter, you who bag."
Yeah, you're not gonna be with a bad boy.
Yeah, this punk.
and then he gets and then he gets on his unicycle motorbike,
Yeah.
and then rides away. Oh
Oh,
man. The design
technology.
of that thing, I'm like, I
Yeah,
wouldn't ride that. Fuck that shit. Give me something with two wheels.
yeah. But granted, signs of the times, right? Futuristic one-wheeled bikes. When she is scourging the street, she sees the dog in the street, and she sees this huge machine coming or whatnot. And that's when, she gets in the middle of the street to protect that little dog. And she does that stance, that little battle
Yep.
stance that we see. And then that's when Hugo comes in and gets her out of the way before she gets stomped on. And then that's when they start talking to each other. Remember?
Okay, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot that part. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because that gave us just a small snippet that even though she can't remember anything, that battle instinct kind of kicked in real quick. And she did that like quick stance or whatnot, ready to fight this big ass machine that's just trudging along where it's saying, get out of the way.
Yeah, there's some sort of like muscle memory in that scene, going back to um, Hugo showing Alita around town. He's like, "Hang on, like I can't let you go by without trying this." And then he gets this giant ass chocolate bar, dude.
Yeah.
I swear, it's
Dude,
like
it was like this big.
I mean, talk about a Wonka bar, like a Hershey's bar that we're
A
used to is like,
Wonka bar,
like a little
supersized.
Hershey bar like that. This thing was like as thick as like a 1.5-inch steak.
Dude, it
And
was like a brick. It was
it's
like
a
a
brick,
brick.
dude. And obviously, we all love chocolate. She's gonna
Dude,
love
I
chocolate.
wouldn't
She's
eat
like, "Oh my
that,
god,
dude. That thing's
this is
thick.
literally my next favorite food."
Right.
And then he takes her to the rollerball court,
Yeah.
and then we see like a few of the other kids around there playing, and then we're introduced to that one kid, Tanji, played by Jorge Lindenborg Jr. And we recognize him from the Spider-Man Homecoming series. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh my god! In Spider-Man Far From Home, after
Yeah.
oh my god, what is it? It's in the beginning. Is it? They're doing like in remembrance of like all the Avengers that got snapped
Oh,
away.
yeah.
Oh my god, it's so funny. And they're doing the little news segment, and I laugh every time I see it. He's like, "Yeah, my younger brother, he's now older than me and taller. Like, I don't understand." And then the girl's like, "Yeah, it's math. Anyway." I love that scene so much. Oh my god. Okay. So once Alita kind of sees how they're playing, they're all on skates and playing the game, and she wants to, she wants to get involved because everything is just like new for her. Everything's new and exciting. She tries to get in on the action, and then she gets like knocked by Tanji,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh, okay. Like you want to play hardball? All right, I got you."
Mm-hmm.
And then she puts on her game face, and then she tries going around and trying to score a point, and then and she does, and she's like,
She
"Okay,
flattens him on the ground, dude. She's
yep."
just like, yep, that's payback, dude. That's payback. And then I like how he's just like, yeah, some girlfriend of yours, dude.
Mhm. Mhm. And,
Oh,
um, and then you understand a little bit of where Hugo's coming from.
yeah.
His motivations is he's trying to work and save up as much as he can so that he can gain entry into the Sky City.
Yeah.
So we kind of understand where his end goal is.
He just shares where it's like, okay, you have the bottom of the barrels down here, but you kind of have what's called kind of the promised land, and the only way to get up there is either if you have fame or fortune, one of those, I believe, and that's how you kind of get in, pretty much.
And
Like you have to be somebody, if that makes sense. Like you have to be important to even be considered or whatnot.
mhm. So we actually find out behind the motives of Hugo trying to get up to Sky City. What he does is he actually, with some of his friends, including Tanji, um, they're given contracts and targets
Hmm.
on whose limbs to, whose parts and limbs to get from other cyborgs. Yeah, so we find out that Hugo is actually in this scheme given orders by Vector. Vector is played by Mahershala Ali, great actor again. The movie is full of really good A-listers, I would say.
Oh yeah.
And he's the owner of the motorball like tournament.
Yep.
Um, and also like the ruler of like the factory, which is Iron City's like governing authority. So eventually Alita notices at home that Dr. Ito goes out at night and then doesn't come
Yeah.
back until much later. So she's trying to figure out like what is he doing after
And plus,
hours.
she even sees him get kind of beat up a little bit too. Like she kind of notices, like when he came back, he had like a fucking bandage on his arm. Yeah.
Yep. So she's trying to like put pieces together and trying to figure this out, but she realizes that the only way she's going to find out the answers that she's looking for is to follow him, and which she ends up doing eventually.
Hmm.
So secretly, as Dr. Ito leaves one night, she trails behind in hiding, like staying in the shadows. One of the things that Dr. Ito says to her is whatever you do, you can do whatever you can, do whatever you want during the day, but
stay home at
you
night. Yeah.
stay home at night. Do not be out past a certain night. So he even gives her a curfew. I'm like, bitch.
Yeah.
So as Alita's following Dr. Ito, she follows him into this like alleyway, and come to find out that Dr. Ito seems to be one of these hunter warriors. And he gets out this like sledgehammer, almost like a pickaxe sledgehammer thing, which again is manga series accurate. But when you and I were talking about it, I'm like, okay, dude, look at the size of this guy. Do you really think he can wield do you
a
really think
freaking
he can wield a
super
weapon like this?
Reaper type scythe, dude, or hammer? It was like fucking badass. But I'm like, man, this scrawny ass man holding this thing, he's struggling.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because it has like
The boosters and
tiny
everything else.
it
Yeah.
has like yeah, it has tiny like thrusters on it to like increase the speed on the strike.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's still good. But again, it's like you think that would have a lot of weight behind it with each strike. So
That's
and
like the
as we
gravity
all
hammer
know
from
in
Halo, dude.
yeah, as we all know in video game culture, the heavier and bulkier the weapon, the slower it is to like
Yeah.
reset to get back to swing again. Um, so it's like, even though this could be a really good weapon in a one shot, one kill scenario, if you miss
You're
and
fucked.
that pick part of the axe like gets stuck, which it does happen,
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of you're vulnerable to attack. So I didn't think it was a very conventional weapon for him, but hey, this is what he does, and he's probably been using it for a long time.
Oh yeah.
So as Ito approaches this hooded figure, um, we see him get lured into an alley, and then it's all of a sudden it's an ambush. It's when Gruishka comes out of the shadows and reveals to Alita that Ito is a hunter warrior, and she's like, "You're a hunter
Oh.
warrior too?" And she's like in disbelief, almost like in shock. That's when one male cyborg comes in, and he's got blades, and he's like, I'm gonna rip you to shreds." And Dr. Ito says to Alita, like, hide, like, stay back, stay back. So he gets his sledgehammer
Yeah.
and his super sledge, right?
Yeah.
And
Super
then
sledge.
he tries to like swing and misses, and then the cyborg like slashes right at his shoulder, cuts a little chunk off Dr. Ito's shoulder. But then after a couple more strikes, Dr. Ito is able to get a first contact on the cyborg and takes off one of his arms, and then is able to finish the job. And then with one cyborg, well, no, he gets the arm off the one cyborg, and then Ito gets knocked on the ground, and then that's when we see the hooded figure. We see like a heel step on the sledgehammer, and then it's revealed that the hooded figure that Ito was chasing is actually another cyborg, and it's that scyther looking
Yeah.
cyborg bitch.
Yeah.
And then she's saying like, "Oh, it was sweet for you to try to save me, but now I'm gonna fuck you up." And then now it's 2-on-1, but then before the female cyborg is able to land a hit on Dr. Ito, Alita comes in and tries to save the day. Takes out let's see. She takes out the first male cyborg, while the female cyborg is like standing over Ito, and Alita is like using this old form of combat that we soon find out is a form of Panzerkunst, which is pre-war technology, pre-war training. So we see this time and time again throughout the movie. Well, I shouldn't even say that. So once Alita takes out the first cyborg, she looks at the female, and then the female's like, "Okay, well now I'm gonna rip that pretty face off your body."
Yeah.
And then Alita's able to, without any struggle really, is able to pin the one cyborg to the door and then totally crush her skull. And then big baddie Gruishka is like, "Okay, little flea, I'm gonna squash you." And then that's when we see Alita doing all these maneuvers, and then finally like jumping up, like almost doing like Prince of Persia status, like running and jumping on the wall, and then landing a leg strike straight down on Gruishka's shoulder,
Yeah,
and is able
fucking
to
breaks
sever
it.
his arm
Yeah.
as thick as his exoskeleton is.
She had
It's,
power.
dude, that was pretty cool. With her tiny cyborg body, she's able to like penetrate right through his all of the joints in his I think it's in his like left arm or right
Yeah,
arm.
left or
I
right
forget.
arm, yeah.
Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Um
And that was a cool moment too, because if you think about it, that was where it's like you could see the potential that she has in terms of her capabilities right there.
Yeah, so we know that Alita's not fucking around, and
No.
Ito seeing her in action realizes that she's gonna find out like what her actual purpose was, and it scares him. Um, and after that, um, once Alita damages Gruishka, he retreats, and then they both go home. And
Well,
while they're back,
before they go home, that's when he decides to go to the little place to put the head, because that's when he
collect the
explains
bounty.
to collect the bank, because that's when he starts explaining to Alita what he does, how there's people and cyborgs that have bounties on them, and that's how he collects to keep his business going. So that's why he's known as a hunter warrior, because he goes after these people who have bounties on them to make the bills, and he takes her to the pretty fortified place or whatnot where you turn in the bounties, and he says, "Just wait here," and we see him walk through that room with all the little like big beefy machinery, and he goes up to the little thing, puts the head down, and says, "You are here to collect," and he gets his credits pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we know, and it's confirmed that the
Yeah.
shop doesn't just run on the currency
Nope.
of oranges, that
No.
he's been putting himself in harm's way trying to keep the
Yeah.
shop open so he can continue doing the Lord's work.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah. Doing a little bit of evil to do a little bit of good.
Yeah.
It's
So
his little
once
skeletons in the closet, pretty much. Yeah.
exactly. And then as Alita's like processing all these thoughts, she's realizing that fighting will help her rediscover like her origins. And
Mm-hmm.
Ito is like completely discouraging this idea, like, no, like you should not
No.
be like me, you should not be a hunter warrior, like you need to remain safe. um and that's shortly after, like that's when Alita finds out that uh wait a minute.
Yeah, that's when
Mm.
she finds out about the story about, or no, that's after she gets back.
No, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
So the next time Alita hangs out with Hugo, um, she starts sharing this information that like I need to find like some answers, and he's like, well, hey, like like there's a ship, and I
right, the
know
ship.
that maybe this is, maybe this can help you.
Yeah.
So Hugo, Tanji, one of their other companions, and Alita, they all go on a hike, a little journey, and they find where this massive ship is in the ocean. And all of them are like looking from this cliffside, like, yeah, it's down there, but we can't access it. It's underwater. And Alita looks at them like, bitch,
Bitch, I
please.
got this. And she's just like, plop. And I like
She
how
just,
she's trudging, walking on the sand in the water. And it's just like, yep.
yes. Yeah, because she just drops down beneath the surface of the lake,
Yeah.
and just kind of like in Pirates of the Caribbean, when Jack Sparrow and Will Turner are like using the boat
Yeah.
to like walk across the seafloor. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, that's pretty cool though.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Um, so she walks over to where the ship's entrance is. And then once she explores around the ship, she sees like this high-tech suit, and it's a berserker suit. And she realizes that this has like some sort of like link with me. I feel like this is mine.
Yeah. I love how
Out of
she
the
carries it
water.
out of the water. That shot of her carrying the suit from out of the water, and her friends are just like, holy shit. Like even Hugo was like, uh what the hell is that? Like he was even like, holy shit. Level
That I need to
2.
be in. Level 2 suit. But she hasn't unlocked the ability to wear the suit
No.
yet. Alita's kind of left with no choice, because once she takes the berserker suit to Ito and saying,
Yeah.
"You need to transfer me to this," and he's like, "No, I won't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see you die or see you get hurt.
And
I'm
then
not
that's
linking the suit to
when
you."
we find the backstory of what happened.
Well, with the war.
No, with his daughter of why. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because
why don't you?
remember,
Yeah. So why don't you share like
so
what actually happened?
when she brought back the suit, of course, and she wants to have the berserker suit on, he tells her no because she doesn't want to see her die, and she kind of explains like, well, I'm not, who your daughter or anything. And then he's like, let me tell you a story. And he was telling a story of how he was helping out this one guy with his cyborg parts or whatnot.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the guy wanted more than what the doctor could give him. Like he was kind of like infatuated with all these stuff that can help him. So he broke in one night, and then all of a sudden his daughter ended up coming down, like in the wheelchair, can't do anything, and she's trying to see what the commotion's going on. And because this guy is kind of like enraged, he sees her, and I think he even sees the body, and he's like, no, and he just fucking, and you don't see it, but you hear the clash, and you just see nobody in the wheelchair, and I assume that that's where he just kills her.
Then we understand, like, okay, this is why he's trying to keep her safe, because he doesn't want to
Yeah,
see another daughter-like figure have the same fate as his daughter.
yeah,
And despite his intentions and what Alita wanted, Alita's like, you know what, if I want these answers, I'm gonna have to do this myself. So okay.
uh-oh, whoa,
It
you're
got
stuck
stuck there
like
for a
this.
second.
Yeah, you're stuck like this. You're like Falcon punching yourself.
So, and this comes up to one of my favorite scenes. So Alita goes with Hugo to the hunter warrior like sign up. Basically, she
Yeah.
registers as a hunter warrior, and then they go to the bar where all of the other
Mhm.
hunter warriors hang out. And you see all kinds of hunter warriors. Some of them don't really
Yeah.
look like much. There's this one guy
With the
that's
dogs.
got like yeah, he's got like robot dogs, and then an actual dog. And was it the same dog
So, yeah,
in
it's
the
the same dog
beginning of
she
the film?
saved. It's the little tiny dog, yeah, that she saved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that was his
So
dog.
she goes into this bar, and she's like, "Hey, I'm here to stop Gruishka, and if you guys are the hunter warriors that I've heard of, like, you'll help me. Who's going to stand up and fight with me?" And they're all looking at her like, Who are you and what are you
Yeah,
about? You're just a
and
tiny
there
little girl.
and pretty much it's the you do know the rules here, right? You don't fuck with Grishka.
Right. Like somehow he's protected and there's no bounty on him at all. But everyone is like pretty much scared of him. And I mean, I would be too.
Oh
Like
yeah,
especially with his sheer size. If I didn't have any proper training, like I wouldn't go up against him. Fuck that.
yeah, hell no.
But so at the Kansas bar, they're trying to instigate a little fight here. So Alita's like, "I'll fight every one of you until someone like teams up with me." And then she starts wrecking shit and starts fighting. And then
Oh,
this
I
one,
know.
the one pretty face
Yeah,
cyborg,
Zeppelin. Yeah,
yes,
Zappin, or whatnot. His name
Zappin,
is, yeah.
yes, played by Ed
Because
Sheen.
earlier she saw him walking the streets and she saw the sword that he had, and he's like, "Ooh, that's a cool sword."
Hmm.
So,
It's almost like she recognizes it and realizes that's not his, that he took that off of
yeah.
someone. So that comes into play a little bit later.
Oh yeah.
So as Alita is instigating and causing a big scene, like a brawl like breaks out, and then eventually Gruishka
Comes in.
comes in and challenges Alita to a duel,
Yep.
and
But the
then
thing is, though, before we get to that, is he's kind of gotten himself an upgrade because before the bar scene, we do get a scene with Grishka and Vector and Sheeran where he's attached to the computer where his body's messed up from the kick, and they're
Mhm.
saying who did this, and he's like, oh, some chick named Alita, and that's when Sheeran kind of gets the oh shit, but that's when Vector, who gets kind of controlled by the
Nova.
all-seeing mighty, for the first time, and that's where he's like, I'm gonna help you out. You need to kill her. Like that's your goal now. And he's like, you got this. And that's when, and I love how they take out his head with the spine just to give us a little idea. So now this time, when we get the reveal Grishka in the bar, when he takes off that cloak, he is fucking level 2, level 3 armor now. He's just like, he's like, hey, little flea. Uh,
And the parts that he got, we find out is actually
hmm
one of the attachments that Hugo ends up like salvaging from one
Doing,
of these other
yeah.
cyborg bounties.
Yep.
And that's the attachment that gets put on Gurishka, and it's these
Claws.
each of his fingers, yeah, claws, they dangle on a chain, almost like the Chaos Blades, the Blades of
hmm
Chaos from God of War.
After he kind of reveals himself, comes like my saddest scene of the movie is as he's standing there trying to Alita, the little dog that she saved from earlier comes up and starts barking like bark, 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 and he's like, looking at the dog like, huh, just another little fucking flea. And we don't see it, but he takes his fucking thing and fucking kills the dog. And that upsets not only
Oh,
Alita, but also the bounty hunter with the metal dogs. And he's like, okay, now that's personal. And then at that point, Grushka's like, okay, he's like, let's have a 1v1. But he's like, you're coming into my territory, though. And that's when he breaks the
yes.
floor and fucking goes down. And you know what it reminded me of? It reminds me of video games where it's like trying to go to the boss room and you either have to enter some sort of tunnel or archway to get into the boss room. So it's just like she's looking down there and Dr. Ito finds, Alita and he's like, do not go down there. And she's just like, yeah, fuck you. And she just fucking jumps down there. And I'm like, oh shit, here
Hmm.
we go. Boss time.
Yeah, boss battle time round 2 with Grishka.
Yeah.
Once they're down in like the sewer level, Alita's trying to like fend off Grishka as he's continuously like throwing these like chained fingers, like chained claws at her. and she's dodging.
She
She's
gets
trying
Anakin
to go
Skywalker.
through like the spiral of the chains and claws.
Yeah, which I thought was badass, by the way. You see the chains go around her. And I thought for a moment they were going to give her the hero's moment, but I loved how they just made her get fucking Anakin Skywalker. Her legs and arms just fall to the ground and she's just on the ground. And the way he just picks her head up and she's dangling there, just struggling, like, just absolutely not knowing what the hell just fucking happened. And you could just be, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like, she fucking got her shit wrecked.
Yeah.
And then he just fucking tosses her to the ground. But it's funny how with her though, her instincts of the past start to really kick in. And I love how she just fucking uses that little bit of force and kind of does like a, what would you call it? It's almost like a fuck you type move right in the fucking eye. Like, it's
Dude.
like, you may have got me down, but you're not going to be unscathed regardless or whatnot. And she just punches him right in the fucking eye. And then that's when he rips her other arm out and it's just like fucking stuck in his head.
One of the things that I forgot to mention earlier in the bar when she was faced with Grishka is she announces this oath that just comes out of nowhere. I will not stand by in the presence of evil. And I'm like, oh, dude, this is getting good.
Yeah,
And
the
then,
Jedi oath.
and now she's there defenseless.
Yeah.
But then some of the other hunter
Bounty hunters,
warriors
yeah,
from
the
up
one with the
above,
dogs show up.
right?
Yeah.
And they kind of like protect Alita, and then Grishka like runs off for the second time.
Yep.
And then Ito sees Alita in shambles and he's like, oh my god. And
Yeah.
then now he has no other choice but to install the berserker suit onto her.
Yeah. And this is my favorite scene coming up, dude, because dude, when it comes, and we were talking like this earlier with the CGI, when she gets attached to the suit, I love how the suit just molds to her body. Like, it
Mhm.
just forms. Like, you get the exoskeleton of the suit that we saw, but I love how it just meshes well and you see the purple and everything else just form into like muscle almost. Like, it's almost like here's the skeleton, and then that's where the muscles come in and the skin or whatnot. And I thought that was fucking dope, dude. Like, I don't know. I thought that was fucking cool.
Yeah, because even Nurse Garad, she notices like it appears that she's much older than you think she was.
Yeah.
And so now with this new body, the berserker suit, level 2 suit now unlocked.
Being attached to that suit kind of like gave us that light bulb moment, you know?
She does start remembering, and it's also through the conflicts
Yeah.
and the fighting that she actually has more of these flashbacks, and then she realizes that she was a member of the United Public of
Yep.
Mars, and
Because we
she was one
saw
of
a
the
little snippet of her on the moon and she's like on the ground and her teachers kind of says, "Hey, get up, we need you," or whatnot. And I think, isn't that when we saw her before she did the hand push up, is when we got that scene with the moon where her teacher kind of tells her, "Hey, you need to get up," and then that's when she does it. I think so, right?
You might be right.
Yeah.
Alita reunites with Hugo afterwards, and he's like, "Oh, like damn, like that's a pretty cool getup that you got there."
Yeah.
And since Alita knows that Hugo wants to get up to the Salem Sky City, she even has a moment where she offers like her heart, like
Oh yeah.
her berserker heart, like here, like you can have this. This can get you up there. This is probably worth a lot. This is probably worth a lot of credits, and it'll probably gain you access up there. And he's like, no, I can't take that from you.
Yeah,
And
and he even tells her like you can't be too trusting with people, even him, you know?
right, right, because even he doesn't consider himself as high value because he knows he does dirty shit just
Yeah.
to survive. But in a climate like this, like you have to do what you can, right?
Right, yeah.
Um, I mean, you can still have principles, but his is like, hey, all of these other cyborgs don't mean anything to me. But now, once he once he actually befriends befriends one as Alita, he starts to have a change of heart.
Right.
Since Alita knows that the only way to get up there is through the motor ball, she's like, well, I can try out and see if I can make it. And at the same time as Alita goes for the tryouts of Motorball, Hugo decides, you know what, like, I am having a change of heart. Maybe I don't want to do this bounty claiming anymore. And he tries to go stop his friend Tanji from repossessing other limbs from this other bounty that they were going to collect later that night. At the same time as Alita is trying out for Motorball. And what she doesn't realize is now there's a price on her head, and some of the other people in the Motorball tournament are working for Vector.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
Ito realizes that, right?
Yeah, he looks at him. He's like, "Wait a minute." He's like, "Who's competing?" And when he does the little spyglass thing, he realizes he's like, "Wait a minute, those are bounty hunters."
Once Hugo decides to like, once Hugo meets up with Tanji, and here's the thing. This is what I was telling you is like, if Hugo had just went to the tournament with Alita and stayed there,
Yeah.
the next scene might have not happened.
Right. Yeah.
Because at the same time as Alita is in the match trying to evade all of these other cyborgs' attacks, she realizes like, oh, okay, they're out to get me too. All right.
Mhm.
So then she kind of loses focus on winning the tournament and then trying to just survive. Once Hugo catches up with Tanji and tries to stop them from claiming the next victim, Zapan appears, kills Tanji, and frames Hugo for the murder.
Yep.
And then once that's in state, then Hugo now has a bounty on his head.
Right away. Yeah.
And that's when shit really hits the fan, because now Hugo is like trying to call Alita saying, Zapan is like chasing me, like I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, where are you? Like, I'll come find you. So then she's circling the track in the motorball tournament. She's able to take out a couple of the other cyborgs.
Oh yeah.
And this thing is actually pretty cool. Like, talk about a high velocity scene.
Action packed too, yeah.
Definitely action packed. And again, CGI standing up front. And what's interesting, this is one thing that I didn't even mention. In the beginning of the film, the soundtrack kind of starts off like really melodic and almost like in an innocent tone. And then as the movie progresses, you can start to see the transitions in the score being more epic. I really liked that. And this next scene, Alita realizes, like, you know what? Fuck this match. I need to go save Hugo. So then she's like, where are you? I'm going to come find you. So then she leaves the tournament. And it's funny because even the announcers of the tournament are like, oh, and she's leaving the stadium. This is the best show we've ever had.
Getting the viewership.
Yeah, seriously, increase in viewership. Zapan is pursuing Hugo, and Hugo's trying to hide and evade him at all costs.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Alita is skating along
the streets now, like
the water pipes,
and,
like the sewer lines, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's trying to get to the city level, but she's being pursued by like 3 other cyborgs, and one of them gets blasted by the sewer pipe, like exploded in front of them, and then
the final 2 they get into this area, and this is where we get another cool fucking fight scene where they kind of not trap her necessarily, but they're in like an arena, like a little not arena, but like a little area with the little.
They're on that rooftop
machine.
Yeah, they're on that rooftop.
Yeah, and they're with that claw machine dude. Remember? And it reminds me of kind of like Gang Beasts a little bit, a little choppy chop.
Once Alita is able to like take out those other 2 remaining cyborgs, she's like, okay, Hugo, I'm coming. Like, I'm coming for you. And Zapan like has Hugo cornered, and Alita finally makes the descent down onto the city floor, and then tries to get in the way. and then that's when it's revealed on the screen, and Alita sees that Hugo is wanted for murder, and she sees that he's wanted for murder from all these other cyborgs, and she's like, how could you?
Yeah.
And she has like, you can see like anger in her face, like I didn't know this is how you were making money, like what the fuck.
Yeah.
And then Zapan is like, you know what, like I'm gonna make this easy for you. And then he stabs Hugo
Yeah.
with the blade.
Yep.
And we see like those giant
It's like the Hunter's high security where you get the credits, and they make sure that the bounty system is run properly. So they're on the scene to make sure that Zapan finishes the job, but they're also there too because they notice that Aelita's interfering, and they tell her you cannot interfere with someone else's bounty. And that's when Zapan makes the ultimatum. He's like, okay, he's like, you either let me finish or you get a bounty yourself, and these guys are going to take you out, or you do it yourself, meaning I'll let you have the bounty if you can do it. And then that's when she decides, okay, I'm gonna go with the plan. And that's when they go into the little church thing. And I love the scene too where Hugo knows that they kind of have like that heart to heart moment, like, hey, this is probably it for me. He's like, just finish it. Like, he's like, I don't deserve to live because of all the shit that I did. But the cool thing is, as they're talking, Sharon comes in and she's like seeing Aelita talking to Hugo, and she is like, "Hey, I get it," and she kind of starts to realize too the whole shit that's going on or whatnot, and she actually. We don't see it, but she's like, "Let me help you out." And the cool thing is, we see Sharon come out, and you can see she's has little bloody rags or whatever it is, and she just walks out by herself, and she's done. But then I love how we see Aelita come out with the little, Hugo's cloak, and Zapan's like, "What the hell is this?" And she reveals the head to the robot, saying it's done. And he's like, "Holy shit!" But then after the bounty's cleared, that's when Aelita kind of reveals that his head's attached to her own, like in that little how would you call it, the little tubes or whatever to keep the blood flowing.
Because what Dr. Sheeran did is like she severed the head from the body, but then connected leads, like tubes and leads from Alita's chest to give like
heart,
blood flow
mm-hmm.
to the head so that he doesn't actually die.
Yeah.
And she's got him wrapped in like the jacket and like, here, like I'm claiming the bounty. And then Zapan like sees that the tubes are led to from her chest,
and he gets pissed. And I love this part too. And we finally get some satisfaction where she just decides, okay, well, I declare you as my bounty, right? And she just slices his fucking face off, and I fucking love it, and takes his sword.
Right. Yeah, because it's so cool because the bigger like destroyer bots, they're like, warning, like interference with another bounty's kill is off limits. And then
he's like, I don't care. And then that's when she's like, all bets are off. The robots give her permission to fucking kill, and that's when she takes the sword and slices his face, and you see the whole time.
I love that scene because all she says is, and she's like, "Thank you," like that's it. Yep, and he slices, and then he's like, "My face, my beautiful face," and like completely cuts it off. And so now we don't see any more Zapan. He's done.
Yeah, he's done.
He's done for this movie. Quickly after, Alita rushes over to Dr. Ito to help Hugo transfer to a cyborg body so that he can survive.
Right, yeah.
And that's when we get the second line of Nurse Garad. She's like, he's fine. He's stable. Why didn't they give her more lines? Oh.
I know.
Anyways,
the only time she really talked was maybe maybe a line or two at the little game, but that was it. Yeah.
Now, with this next scene, Alita tries to confront Vector.
Yep.
Who reveals that Sharon and all of her organs have been harvested. That part was hard, dude,
Yeah.
because Vector shows like a case, and he's like, "Oh, you want to see what happened to Dr. Sharon for interfering?"
Yep.
He opens his case, and you
The
just see like
fucking
eyes, brain, and
brain,
like
yeah.
organs. Like this is the you have to realize this is the only way that people go up to Sky City. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go in a physical form. Your
No.
all of your data and energy is transferred to that city. And again, it's one of those deaths that happen off screen, but Dr. Sheeran was able to redeem her, her lower qualities for serving Nova, and but again, we see what it costs. Alita with she's alone with Vector, and then
That's when
she
Nova
pretty much
takes over.
ends.
Well, and then that's when we have Nova take over Vector to talk to her.
Right.
She wants to see the head guy. He's like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to him. And that's when his eyes turn blue. He's like, okay.
Mhm.
He's like, we'll talk. But he's like, first, you must do me one thing. And that's when, Gruishka finally comes in for the final time. And he's like, he's here to finally finish his little business. And he's like, you take care of him, then we'll talk. And we get that final, quick, but really kind of nice ending to that little battle between the two, where Alita just, and I love this part where she takes the sword and just slices Gruishka in half, and that's it. Like he's
Mhm.
done. Like Alita's on a whole new level now. And then
Yeah.
that's when she finally says, speak to, she's like, now we can talk just one on one. And he's like, fine, we'll talk. And honestly, I love the fact that they do talk about different stuff, but I love the fact that when Alita does stab Vector while Nova's taking over, I love how he's slumped over. He's like, "That looks fatal," and he slowly just falls
Yeah.
to the ground and die. Like
Yeah,
he knows.
because
He's like, "Oh, that looks fatal."
yeah, because you realize
Yeah,
that Nova cares not for his puppet that I don't get to use, but there's
yep,
plenty more that I can control, and you're not
right.
stopping anything here.
Nope.
And so then now that Gruishka is out of the picture, Vector, Nova's main puppet, is out of the picture. Though that even though that last scene with Gruishka was really short, I still love
Dissatisfying.
I still
Yeah,
loved him as the villain for this movie. I loved the not only did I love the voice actor for it, but the way that Gruishka talked. His lips were kind of pursed the whole time, so it's like that's character. Like
yeah.
you gave this villain so much in so many scenes that I'm like, dude, this is a standout character. Not so much as Thanos is in
Nah.
Infinity War, but
He was
still
almost
enough.
like, you know what he reminded me of? He reminded
Hmm.
me of the first villain from Iron Man. You know when Tony has had to go up against his little
Oh
partner
yeah.
buddy? That's what it felt like. It was almost like, okay, you've been a pain in my ass for so long. Now I can, finish you or whatnot. So I like that. And then we get to the cool shit because after Alita deals with the whole Vector thing, she returns to Ito, and that's when she finds out that Hugo's gone, and she's like, "Where is he?" And he's like, "He's going." And she's like, "What do you mean he's going?" And that's when it clicks of the whole thing. And even in her mind, I think she even got a flashback before then where she realizes of the spinning things on the tube from Sky City that comes down as a defense mechanism. And
Yeah.
she's like, that's when she's like, I gotta warn Hugo or whatnot.
Right.
And
So
I'll let you take it away because this scene was just fucking
yeah,
tear
so
jerking shit. Yeah.
yeah, so once Ito tells her where he was going, she immediately pursues Hugo to try to stop him and make and put some sense into him. So then she
Yeah.
starts running up the tube that's leading up to Sky City, and she sees him walking there, and she's like, "Please, you have to turn around. Like we can do this together. Like you just have to trust me." And
Yeah.
he's like, "No, this is the only way I can go up." And he like as he's like walking up, he turns around and he's like he's looking at her, and there he can tell that she's coming from a good place.
Yeah.
And once he finally agrees, like, okay, like I'll come down.
But that's
Nova
when we get the cloud, and then all of a
Yep.
sudden the spinning thing just fucking appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, and
And you're
she,
just like,
she tries to yell out to Hugo to like watch out, and it's too late. Like he turns
yeah,
around way too late, and he tries to like jump over the spinning blades as it's coming down the tube, um, and or I should say like electrical lines,
yeah.
But needless to say, the defense mechanism comes down and is successful because it rips his lower half, and then
Or yeah,
Alita's able to clear the blades, and then as Hugo's like kind of falling off to the side, she takes the blade and like stabs it into the lines, and tries to grab Hugo
yeah,
with her other hand, and this scene is like it's sad, but it's also kind of funny. But I felt so bad for Hugo because
yeah.
his cyborg body was not meant for like this much stress.
No.
And as they're dangling there, she's like, "Come on, like I can reach up." And she's trying to like pull him up, and then
And
she
I think in
notices,
that moment too, she realized she can't pull him up because that's when she
no,
starts to cry. Yeah, like it's just stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that's when the decision had to be made, and she just drops his ass.
well, I mean, not necessarily.
I know.
Um,
I kid.
it's a touching last scene because as Hugo's like dangling there, being held by Alita, his like the joints and the strands are
Are
like
starting to, yeah,
they're giving way, and they're starting to come apart, and she realized like I can't pull you out, I'm not going to be able to save you, and he's like, look, you got me this far, like I just want to thank you. And then dude, and then we see him just like fall, and
and you know what song that I get reminded of? I
I
believe I can
will
fly.
remember. Oh, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Hugo.
Hugo.
What's what's kind of cool is that when he falls, we don't see him like, we don't see him crash, but we just see him like
No.
descend past the foggy clouds,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
It's assumed that he's gone. And then it kind of does a flash forward where Alita got level 2 skates now for her rocket ball, where she started to make the ranks because she wants to go up there, right? And the only way that
Right.
she knows how is to gain popularity and become the champion. And I love how she gets the skates, and I love how when she's sad, she cuts that tear, like it's falling, and she cuts it with her blade, which was kind of cool. Which I thought, okay, that's pretty dope. And I love how she skates out there, she's game ready, and I love how there's just that whole thing, and she sort of like kind of points up her little sword towards the sky, and Nova's just looking down on her as she looks up, and that whole ending is just like, fuck, I want more, like I want to
I
see more and
know.
see where it takes us, it was like almost like it's been the longest like cliff kind of like ending to have. It's like, fuck, I waited so long to see what happens next, so
I
hopefully
know,
it's
because
soon.
yeah, because when you said like it jumps forward, this is like several months as she like
Yeah.
progressed through the ranks, and we
Yep.
already see that she has extra body armor. So it's like now this is like
Yeah.
level 3 suit, and we see the precision that she has with slicing that tear. So it's like, dude, she can take on anyone
Oh
if she
yeah.
really wanted to. Now that she's got her full hero equipment,
Yeah.
and she swears revenge to Nova, like I'm coming for you. And the last shot we get is Nova, who is played by Edward Norton. This is the first reveal we get, and I don't even know if he's credited as a cast member. If you look it up on Wikipedia,
Hmm.
he's not actually on there. But I thought it was kind of interesting because, like, did they actually plan for Edward Norton to be the villain all along, or was he a stand-in?
Who
I
knows?
don't know. You're right. Like we're left on the biggest cliffhanger, and now it's been 6 years, and there's gonna be a sequel. So it's like now this is even more anticipated since we've watched it recently.
Yeah.
I don't know what the involvement in the second movie is gonna be. If it's just gonna be Alita, is Ito gonna be in there at all?
Right.
I
It
have
could
no
go
idea. It's
either
all
way. Yeah.
speculation right now But here's the question. Do we think that Alita Battle Angel 2 will come out before Beyond the Spider-Verse?
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes. Yeah, because that's it's getting pushed out till 2029, dude, at this point. So
You know,
sad.
yeah. Well, okay, back to this movie though. Honestly, great movie. My
It was a
biggest takeaway,
solid 9 out of 10 for me, dude, in terms of sci-fi
absolutely,
movies. Yeah.
absolutely. One for CGI, one for the A-list acting in this, and also like the world building. Like they didn't give you like a whole lot to work on. They just gave
But
you
just
like
enough to understand what's going on. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But we have, I mean, leading into this next film, whenever it comes out, Alita's purpose is more defined than ever. She's no longer like suffering from the amnesia, so she knows what she's all about. So
Yep.
who's to say what happens in the second film? I mean, this
Right.
is going to be like a jump from like John Wick 1 to like John Wick 4. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I think this next movie is going to be. So I'm highly anticipating that next sequel whenever it gets announced. And if you see it, if you see any news or rumors, you better send that shit to me.
Oh hell yeah.
I don't know, any lasting impressions or any last words before we close this out?
Yes. Get the hell out.
You heard it here, folks. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you next time. And until then,
Later.
take care.